From the OUTV Broadcast Center in Los Angeles, California, this is Brief News Brief, a brief look at today's trending news topics, proudly combating the thought police since 2016. Here's your host, James Heaney.
I'm James Heaney, and this is Brief News Brief. Happy Monday. We're back at the end of a very, very busy week and the start of an even busier week. The White House is on the hunt to hire a brand new FBI director after last week's shocking news that Jim Comey had been fired by Donald Trump. When we first reported this story last Tuesday, the story was unraveling in front of us. He was being fired. There was some confusing news out there, and we reported that the White House had made the decision to fire Jim Comey because of advice of the Deputy Attorney General. Now, at the time, the reason was because of Comey's handling of the Clinton investigation. Well, that's laughable. They were basically saying that they're firing Comey because he wasn't treating Clinton well. Well, I'll tell you what, I was suspicious at the time that was a BS story, and it turns out, as the bombshell news was rolling out last week, Trump told Lester Holt in an NBC interview that he had made the decision to fire Comey himself, not based on the Deputy Attorney General's statements. Well, I was not surprised to hear that, because that was the assumption I made. And on top of that, he said that he did it because of Comey's testimony before the Senate the week before. Now, if you didn't catch it, Comey said in that interview that it made him slightly nauseous that he may have helped Donald Trump win the presidency. Let's take a quick look at that clip.
This was terrible. It makes me mildly nauseous to think that we might have had some impact on the election.
You're fired. You're fired. You're fired.
Later in the interview, when Lester Holt finally presses him to give the answer of why he decided to fire Jim Comey, Trump generally says, I was thinking about it, and I was like, this Trump-Russia story is just an excuse. I fired him because he's investigating something the Democrats are using as an excuse for why they lost the election, which just goes to show he is trying to stop that investigation. He allegedly thinks it's a waste of time, but I think that it's more likely he's trying to stop this investigation from happening because it's called obstruction of justice. Because then in his firing letter to Comey, it's so bizarre, but 3 times he says that Comey has said he was not under investigation. He, in fact, starts his resignation letter basically with, while I appreciate how you said that I am not guilty 3 times. He said not under investigation, but what he's trying to say to the public is 3 times they told me I'm not guilty and I'm not being investigated. What is the reason for putting that into a resignation letter for someone? It's absolutely ludicrous. And he goes on to say that he went out to dinner and was basically interviewing Comey for the FBI director. On one of the occasions, he asked Comey if he was under investigation. What is going on? You are admitting in an interview live that you are bonkers and have committed, I believe they're crimes. Trump claims during this dinner, Comey assured him he wasn't under investigation. Trump is also claiming in a tweet storm last week that there are tapes of the conversation. FBI officials who were aware of the interview at the time said that Comey was called out to the dinner on the day of, and Trump pressured him to make a loyalty oath. Ew, even saying that's gross. This is a crime that Trump denies, but he feels that loyalty would have been a great idea to ask him for that night. It's completely legal for the president to fire the head of the FBI, but it is certainly unprecedented for that to happen while the president is under an active investigation by the FBI, which would be considered obstruction of justice, to fire someone who is investigating you. Get ready for a brief news briefing. Following the fallout of the Comey firing, Trump is reportedly considering a shakeup at the White House, replacing top staff with more firing. Employees on the chopping block include Steve Bannon, Reince Priebus, Sean Spicer, and White House counsel Don McGahn. Trump is reportedly angry at everyone. Over the weekend, a massive cyber attack infected millions of computers across the world with malware, holding hostage people's data for ransom. So, very fortunately, some 22-year-old in Southern Europe that worked for an LA cybersecurity firm has found a patch. So we are not at the will of these horrible human beings. So don't pay a dime out. Just research on, well, first of all, as Spicer told us in the meeting today, you should be prepared by patching your computer and keeping all of your things up to date. But even if you haven't, there are fixes out there. Just don't pay them money. Trump's Muslim ban is back in the Ninth Circuit Court this morning. You might recall that this is the second time the Ninth Circuit Court has seen this case. Most experts agree that no matter how these judges rule, this case will be heading to the Supreme Court, as this issue is too important for the Supreme Court to pass up. Trump met this morning with Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi at the White House. This is just before traveling out of the U.S. for the first time since being president, first to Saudi Arabia, Israel, and Italy, the three centers of the three most monotheistic religions, Islam, Judaism, and Christianity. And most importantly, at the end of this, John Oliver has brought to attention that net neutrality rules are out there again, and we need to make our voices heard. He made a website called gofccyourself.com, and that website brings you right to where you need to fill in comments and say you demand strong net neutrality. Unfortunately, there's a quirk, and that needs to be holded off until May 18th. So we will remind you later this week that on May 18th, you need to go to that website and you need to fight for net neutrality. Craving a vacation? Try the island of Okinawa in southwestern Japan. It's a little different. To come ashore, you'll need to strip naked for a cleansing ritual. No, I don't know what it is because it's a secret cleansing ritual. You are prohibited from even taking a blade of grass off the island, and you can never natter to no one about your trip. Which, to be honest, is probably going to help your friendship. Nobody wants to hear about what a great time you had. Oh, and get this one, because it's a big one. No girls allowed, okay? Teats are taboo. Badges are verboten. Women are prohibited for religious reasons, from touching toe to terra firma. Sadly, draining the delight out of that naked secret cleansing ritual. In ancient ages, men would pilgrimage to this place to pray to a potent Potatanet, a sea goddess who just happens to live far away from their whining wives with their, "You left your sword on the floor, you smell like sake, why won't your freeloading brother give us a break and cut his belly?" But now the proverbial plot plumps, okay? The island is slated to become a coveted World Heritage Site, which requires that it open up to all, which runs full bore afoul their broads-band policy. So you catch my little pun there. Negotiations are underway. Meanwhile, guys, I cannot overemphasize the importance of praying to the sea goddess, okay? Let me be honest here. I'm talking about ditching the old ball and chain for some peaceful me time. They've got a waxing parlor, right? Hey, brohems, if you do end up going, when you get back, I want to hear all about that naked cleansing ritual. I'll keep it a secret. It's poll tally time. How do you feel about Jim Comey being fired? Well, half of you feel frustrated, but the other half of you say it's about damn time. Do you think that prisoners should have tablets in prison? We couldn't find a clear majority. This vote was so split, but if there was one category that people agreed most on, it would be that no, prisoners should not have tablets. And finally, most important results in, what kind of Ninja Turtle are you? Which one are you most like? It turns out our viewers are most like Michelangelo. A whole bunch of cowabunga dudes that are friendly and having a good time. But you know what we're lacking the most? We're lacking the most of Leonardos, our leaders. People need to step up. Sometimes you don't want to be a leader, but you are a leader. Let's try to be more like Leonardo. And here are the new poll results. I'm sorry, not results. Here's the new polls. Be heard. Is the travel ban headed to the Supreme Court? What do you think? Secondly, is the president taping people at the White House without their knowledge? And finally, do you think that console-exclusive video games help or hurt the video game industry?